Hey YouTube, this is your guy Antoine coming back at you with another video. I want to go around this subject. This again, my platform is rooted in goodness, and we aim to be a safe place for men, particularly black men, to come discuss, learn, and grow. That's simply what it is. Today, I want to start the video off by just posing a question. I just got a question for you. A couple of questions. One, do you know what are perhaps the scariest parts of early onset prostate cancer? Do you know? Well, in my experience, a couple of the most scariest parts about the early prostate cancer was one, the fact that there could be the presence of prostate cancer and you have absolutely no symptoms at all. I mean, no physical manifestation at all. You have no clue that you even have it. So that's the first thing. Secondly, if diagnosed and then subsequently treated during that same kind of dormant period, your chances of surviving prostate cancer are at a rate of about 99%. So there's a 99% success rate, survivability rate with conquering prostate cancer. That's quite significant, and I think it deserves a little bit of a conversation. So let's get right into it. All right, welcome back. Today's video, as I stated before, we're going to kind of dive into this whole concept of prostate cancer being a silent threat. And it being a silent threat to you simply means that it can be there and you not even know that it's there. That was certainly my experience. May not have been everybody's, but it was certainly mine. Mine, as I've discussed a little bit before, which you may be aware of, but the diagnosis of my prostate cancer came about after finally going to the doctor after COVID, so post-COVID situation, and not having been to the doctor during the COVID period. The presence of prostate cancer in my body had the opportunity to kind of grow and expand. So just to give you a kind of a quick picture of it, pre-COVID, the last PSA or an exam that I had, my PSA level was somewhere around, it had kind of risen a little bit prior to COVID, but it had gone from about a 1.7. And again, it's on a scale of 0 to 4 is where you kind of want to be in that sweet spot. To give you an idea, again, mine was at about a 1.7 2 years prior to COVID. The 1 year prior to COVID, looking back at my records, it had actually risen slightly. So it had gone to like a 2.4, which is something we'll kind of talk about in another video. But especially as black men, we have to be not only mindful of what our numbers are, but watch any kind of variation in those numbers. So any slight movement or tick up, we should know about it. But anyway, mine went from a 1.7 to like a 2.4. And then COVID happened. So about a year and a half, I was away from the doctor like everybody else. But post-COVID, went back for my annual exam, my physical. And during that, of course, I got my PSA check. And this time, I got a call that the doctor needed me to come back in to kind of go over some of my numbers. Some of them were kind of off. Just wanted to have a start discussion. Anyway, once I went back in, it was determined and divulged to me that my PSA level, that again, my last knowledge of, was like a 2.4. It was now sitting at a 34.5. So again, even when I first heard that, it didn't really like blow me away. I knew it was significantly different than, 1.7 or 2.4. I still didn't really have a concept of that being that much out of the norm. At any rate, once we kind of went through it, my primary doctor at the time just indicated that it was something I needed to follow up on, and recommended that I go see a urologist to kind of get a little bit more detailed look and kind of continue the conversation with respect to what it meant specifically for me. In doing that is when we had the discussion with the urologist, and yeah, here's a number. So I just kind of asked him to help me understand what the relevance of that number was. Because again, you're saying it's a 34.5, and yeah, it sounds like a far cry from 2 or 2.4 or whatever. But what does that really mean? And so to kind of put it in perspective, he said he sees everything from 0 to he sees some numbers in the hundreds, even in the thousands in some cases. But to give more kind of concreteness to that perspective, a 0, again, at 0 to 4 is somebody that's kind of okay, uh, not really a presence, anything to really be concerned about. Is when it gets outside of that 4 range, and any increase in time, men are going to naturally, your PSA levels are naturally going to increase because it's something that typically naturally occurs in your body. But if it gets out of those ranges, that's when you need to be mindful of it. But at any rate, again, to kind of cover that spectrum, again, the 0 to 4, kind of a safe spot, sweet spot. If you get on into the upper teens or whatnot, then obviously you got some concerns. With where I was, obviously that was a concern. But again, you have some folks that would be, 200, 300, 400, whatever. Those, as he explained it to me, folks that were at that level were in advanced stages, or metastasized, meaning that it had gone outside of the prostate and began to go through different parts of the body, whether it be, the bloodstream or a bone or lymph nodes, what have you. So again, this is kind of all coming as new news for me. Just trying to kind of digest it all, let it all soak in. And again, just kind of see, yeah, I know what the numbers say and, what that typically means, but specifically, what does it mean for me? So, but that's definitely a starting point. And one of the things I'll kind of go back to, like I said, we will definitely discuss it a little bit further, a little bit more in depth, a little bit further along, or in another video perhaps. But we have to have an understanding of how any change in our numbers, we need to be mindful of it, and we need to monitor it a little closer. Because even prior to COVID happening, I had a slight uptick in my number because again, remember, it went from a 1.7 to like a 2.4, which in and of itself, it was still in that sweet spot that, yeah, it's okay. However, it should have been notated that it was on the rise. Because, that was obviously something, had I known that should have been more of a concern for me, even in the light of COVID, there would have been a way to make sure I was keeping it a little bit more under check. But having said that, like I said, it's just something to be mindful of as we go along. But in terms of how do you get that testing? Again, it's a simple blood test, the PSA, which is again the prostate specific antigen test, and it just is simply testing your blood to see if there's a presence of this antigen in your bloodstream. And like I said, that gene or antigen generates from your prostate and it could be, anywhere in your body. So just notating that does indicate that there's something that needs to be monitored a little bit closer, originating from your prostate area or prostate bed. So, but at any rate, how can that be a silent threat? Um, the threat is that even at a 34.5, which was where my PSA level was, I didn't have a clue because going into that annual exam, I honestly felt great. Other than like the rest of the world, I put on a few pounds, being cooped up in the house during COVID. But at any rate, other than that, so I didn't have any pain, nothing remotely related to what would be considered, pains from prostate. Like I didn't have any frequent urination. There was no blood present in my urine or bowels. No abdominal pain. Nothing when I was using the bathroom. No problems urinating or my bowel movement. So to me, it was like, what are we really talking about? Like you're talking about my levels are here, and this is what this means, but potentially prostate cancer, but I don't feel anything. And that's why it's so important to have great conversations with your care team, because starting with the first urologist that I went to, and my hat goes off to him and that team in terms of kind of slowing me down a bit and just really breaking down like what these things mean, what could happen, what it could mean, what it maybe doesn't mean. So even though I was at that level, I experienced no issues. And he said that's generally how it happens. Unless you are in kind of later stages or advanced stages, you may not experience any kind of pain or notice anything that's abnormal at all. And the reason why that can be a silent killer is because, as he explained it to me, especially with men, we're a little different. So you're sitting there with this kind of score, and in some cases you may or may not have any pain, but in the cases of the men that come and they sit and they get that kind of news and they don't have any pain, in their mind that equates to, I don't need to do anything. So they opt to go into a just wait and see mode. And the danger in that, again, as he explained it to me, is that you will eventually have the conversation. And you'll get down to the brass tacks of what this means, what this number means, what it could mean, what would potentially need to be, what are your options there. A lot of men don't want to have that conversation, and they definitely don't want to have it if they're not having any pain. Because, the reality is that, yeah, there are some things that you got to make some hard decisions about. Yeah, your sex life could be affected. The way in which you use the bathroom could definitely be affected in some cases. So the ability to bear children could greatly be affected or eliminated. So yeah, some hard choices that need to be made. And in a lot of men's mind, if they don't have to have that conversation or have to make those decisions based on the fact that they don't have any pain, they don't make it. That wasn't the case for me. My whole approach was, tell me what I got to do to extend my life. That's the conversation I want to have. Everything else will work out, but I want to go the route of extending my life. And that's, I don't say that with any, like it was a cakewalk. Because it did take a lot of conversation. It took a lot of prayer, a lot of alone time, and a lot of sharing time. Because I have a wife that was involved from the start. I have kids who are all boys, all men, young men now. But so I was considering a lot. Aside from just me, I had a lot to think about in terms of them and how I would, approach them and, what it meant for them. So again, all of it was a little new for me. So I'm trying to digest, taking all this stuff in, really knowing what it means. And then on the flip side, in the decisions that I make, how it affect me as well as the people around me and my circle around me. So um, in that sense, like I said, it can be a silent threat, but hopefully um, through things like this, that's one of my goals and one of my desires for even wanting to start this channel was to have a place that men could regularly come into, pop into, talk about, at least, start a conversation around what to expect, what could happen, what could be some options for you, that kind of thing. Because when I got my news and all of this stuff started kind of coming down on you, you don't know where to go. Your head's, spinning, spinning, spinning. You got a lot of decisions to make, and a lot of them, in my case, um, with that score and some other factors that were in there, I was considered a high risk patient. So I didn't have the luxury of let's wait and see a couple months or 6 months down the road how things are going. I had to make some decisions, and I had to make them pretty quickly. That may or may not be your situation. I pray it's not for the average guy out there, but it could be. And some of it, like I said, could be avoided because, again, just a year and a half prior to that, it could have been a whole different conversation. It could have opened me up to a whole other list of options in terms of treatment or ways to approach the cancer at that point. So timing is everything. How and when you're diagnosed and the action that you take on that diagnosis is key to, again, extension of life as well as quality of life. Because even with, looking at options, in my case, like I said, to extend my life, I also had to consider what quality of life was should I expect with doing certain treatments or certain procedures or certain medications. So all of those things, again, they come at you real fast. They can come at you real fast. In my case, came extremely fast. And with, in a matter of literally weeks, I was forced with making some pretty significant life altering decisions. But I'm thankful, ever so thankful to God that I have a great support system around me. I have an incredible wife and family that, supports me and champions the things that I decided and prayed on that I wanted to do as it pertained to addressing the prostate cancer. So again, not that it's everybody's story, but I want you to get a view of what could be um, through my experience. It's simply all this is. Well, again, that's my experience, and I want to make sure that as we go through this journey, we keep in mind, again, I'm explaining what I went through and my experience, my take on how this prostate cancer thing rolled out for me. Um, as I said before, is my absolute prayer that it is not the situation, not the case for you. For any of you out there, I would pray for, definitely um, a much better experience with it than I had. Like I said, I don't say any of that to say that I'm disappointed because I have nothing but gratitude. Yeah, nothing but appreciation to God for the way in which my story has unfolded. And it's a story that I'm actually still unfolding. So it doesn't end here. Didn't start here. That doesn't end here. It's still unfolding. It's still kind of being unpacked in my mind. So I just want this thing to be like I said before, a safe space that we can come to, that I can come to, get some of this stuff out, also be able to share with others, so that hopefully their journey, although not exactly like mine, can be somewhat easier. So that's what this is. As I wrap this video up today, though, I want to kind of end on a note of encouragement. We're still here. If we're here and able to talk about this thing, we're ahead of the game. So we have the opportunity to kind of set the course for the way the rest of our life is going to go. Whether that be one that's riddled with pain of a disease and some ultimate outcomes, or if it's one that we meet head on, meet the challenge head on, embrace it for what it is, and make the best of the situation. That's up to you. Your story will be your story, and the way it unfolds will be the way it unfolds. But my encouragement is for you to realize that you have an opportunity. Like I said, if we're still here, you have a fighting chance. The best way to meet that challenge is to get tested. So it's, like I said before, it's a simple PSA test. I encourage you guys, I challenge you even to reach out to your healthcare provider, your doctor, anybody in the medical field that can gain you access to testing, and ask for a PSA test. It's never too early, in my opinion, especially if you have a history of prostate cancer in your family. Don't be afraid to ask for it. You're entitled to it. Ask for it. See what your insurance covers. And whether it's covered or not, do what you need to do to get tested, because peace of mind goes a long way. And to be able to know whether or not you should have some more concern with addressing those things, peace of mind goes a long way with helping you to sleep at night. So I encourage you to do that. Again, I challenge you even to do that. So by the time we have this next video, reach out to your healthcare provider and get tested. So as I always like to say, take care and definitely take action. See you guys on the next video. Peace.